Good morning. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another incredible episode of Built in Texas. I say this every week, and maybe it's an imposter syndrome, but I feel like when I say episode or show, it still doesn't feel like it because I'm currently looking at my dog as my audience, and I do have the business up top and party at the bottom. So I'm definitely wearing my slippers because I'm doing this from home, but that's kind of one of the benefits, I guess, of all this crazy time. So thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jasmine Brand, and this is Built in Texas. Every Monday at 11 a.m., we are introducing you to some incredible, fabulous women around the state that are building epic ideas, brands, and everything in between. I am an entrepreneur based in Dallas, and I'm the founder of Her Texas, and we are the state's first ecosystem built with Texas women in mind. You're like, what is that, Jasmine? Well, I have been working on Her Texas, the project, for 2 years now, and we actually are launching in May, and next week I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. But as someone who's really passionate about bringing people together, specifically women, I thought Texas is so huge. We've got 2,000 cities, I believe, and we've got 14 million women approximately. And I thought, what would happen if we brought those 14 million women more together, a better community, more cohesive, more communication. And that was kind of the impetus for the idea of Her Texas. So this comes on every Monday. We broadcast to LinkedIn and Facebook. And if you're tuned in live, thank you so much. We actually get quite a bit of viewership after this, and it makes sense, right? Because we're all super busy. So if you watch this later, I really appreciate you taking time to check us out. You can see previous episodes at hertexas.co. We've done a couple of these. We actually started on March 1, which I can't believe this month is almost over. So it's been an exciting month. Next week, though, we'll be sharing some very cool details about our launch. And I say this every week, but I'm really excited about the launch because I've been trying to launch this thing forever. I had a big Beyonce themed launch party, which already tells you that was already a horrible idea, right? And too expensive. But I had a huge launch party planned for last summer. And of course, COVID was like, girl, slow down. And I'm actually happy that happened because my vision was too small. And I don't know if you've ever created something or thought about something and your vision was not actually where you thought, wasn't aligned with what your ideas were. And actually, COVID transformed a lot of the ideas I thought for Her Texas. And I was like, this needs to be much bigger. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is transformation and evolution. And our guest today, I was going to wear something of hers. And she said I should have totally. I have a little Abi Ferrin collection. It was right when I was starting my career. And I was dipping my toe into spending money on really cute pieces. And her stuff still lasts and still amazing. She'll be joining us in a little bit to talk about the next phase of her career and the things she's really passionate about. But before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit more about Her Texas. And so, like I said, we are ecosystem. And what this basically means is we want to be kind of like the matchmaker, if you will. If you're a woman in Texas and you're looking for opportunities, you're looking for connections. If you're a founder, I don't know how many of us, and I'm a female founder here in the state, it is really hard to navigate and can be really lonely. And so we kind of want to be that navigation point for women that are looking to start businesses here as well. So one of the cool things in my research for Her Texas has been the legacy of Texas women, the women that have shaped this state. And I want to tell you about one. Each week I try to tell you a little bit about another woman that did something really amazing, because I believe our legacy is women here in Texas. And whether you've been here for a day or you've been here for 20 years, our legacy, it's in our DNA, I think, to get done. And it wasn't just us. There's women before us that paved the way for us. But this is Nurse May Smith. And in 1913, she set up a baby clinic on the lawn of Parkland Hospital, which was really kind of groundbreaking back then. But what was even more groundbreaking, in 1929, she raised money for the first Children's Hospital, which actually eventually was the forerunner for Children's Medical Center. And so when I'm talking to women about Texas, what does Texas mean? What does Texas represent? We know Texas has a perception, right? And I think what Her Texas is hoping to do is shape the new Texas, which is powered by some of the amazing accomplishments done by women. So last week we had two incredible women last week. I'm still fawning over both of them. Grace with her invention. I'm gonna call it invention, her product, the Gracelet, which was the best name ever. And it's her basically bracelet / face mask accessory that she's created. And then Catherine L. Wheeler, who is doing amazing stuff for women in the workplace. You can check out their episode, which was last week, if you like, at hertexas.co/builtintexas. And I'm telling you every week about some of our mission, and I've kind of been breaking it down. This next one I want to tell you about is creating a connector vendor system that allows for direct financial support of female makers, shop owners, and small businesses. Why that is so huge is because it's already hard to start a business, but to actually find customers, to keep that flow going, to finding marketing resources, getting awareness, getting PR. If you've never done these things before, it can be really challenging. And to me, we have enough incredible women, incredible men, incredible resources here to support one another and to move our businesses forward. And so, as I said earlier, part of our goal is to become kind of like a matchmaker, if you will, for resources, for community. And so if you have a business, if you're a woman that has a business, a shop here in the state of Texas, we want to make it easier for you to connect to whoever you're needing for your business to grow. This is not to say that we don't have amazing resources here, but because the state is so huge, depending on where you live, you may not have access to it. And so we kind of want to be that glue, if you will, to bring things together. So stay connected. Our website, hertexas.co. We're on all the social channels. We do have a Facebook group that we will, private Facebook group that kicks off officially next week. We started it before, but we've kind of gone back to the drawing board to make it really fab for everyone. But so excited. Like I shared, next week, I'll be sharing the official launch date. We've got some really cool things planned. So thank you so much for supporting us. The show has been so fun because we have had women from around the state, from small towns up to really, really big ones tuning in, which has been so cool. We've actually had some people tuning in from around the country too, which has been so cool as well. I think Texas is something that is in everybody's mindset, some positive, some negative. We're hoping to kind of reshape that conversation. So speaking of conversation, I don't want to keep rambling on because I could forever and ever because I'm obsessed with this project, but a lot of this project is also based on the incredible women that live here too. So I wanted to bring on our special guest this week, Abi Ferrin. Abi, how are you?
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
This lighting though, I'm obsessed with it.
This is the nest.
So beautiful. Well, Abi, thank you so much. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just how cool listening to what you're doing. I'm all about it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. Abi, I was looking through your bio and your experiences, these pages and pages. We could talk all day about it, but I really want to jump into maybe tell us, for some of the people who tuning in who maybe don't know who you are, maybe haven't connected with you, maybe a little bit about what you've been doing. And then let's talk about kind of where you are right now. And a woman that we both have, well, I have a serious business crush on her, and I do stalk her. And I say this every week, it's a loving stalk, Susie Batiz. So tell us a little bit about kind of your career and then kind of where you are right now, how Susie plays a role into that.
Yes. So I started my career 17 years ago as a fashion designer, moved to Texas and became Texas top designer pretty quickly, which I can relate to the imposter syndrome. But Texas has supported me so radically. It was so different than my business in Los Angeles. Women in this ecosystem really do want to support each other and come together, and that's been really, really cool. And it's why I'm still in Texas. 17 years had a dream, how it was going to go. Kind of got to the dream, was in every Nordstrom, and my it's kind of like you maybe sometimes get confused on your dream, because my initial dream was to disrupt the industry, because I saw the exploitation of human beings behind the scenes. And when people were making their clothes, designers, the way that they were making their clothes wasn't always with the whole being in mind. And so there were a lot of people being exploited in the factories in China and overseas, and even here in in the United States in Los Angeles, there's been a lot of sweatshop raids and stuff like that, where the people on the other side are making a ton of money, and the people that are making the clothes are getting pennies on the dollar and sometimes being chained up. So that was my passion. Well, then I kind of got distracted and got into the business, and So my freedom project was always, as much as it was my heart, it always seemed like the side thing, because the day-to-day running of a business, and my business exploded, and I was learning how to run a business as I was in a successful business. And then I had a baby, and I'm a single mama, and suddenly it's like, what in the world? And so when I met Susie about 3 years ago, I was at this point that I just didn't know. I didn't love what I had created anymore, but I didn't know how to quit it. I had 17 employees. I had started Love and Freedom, which was kind of integrated into my business. And so I was like, well, quitting wasn't even an option, but I was in a hamster wheel. And so probably a year before COVID, actually, Susie started coaching me and talking to me about alive ideas, and that the cycle of creation is create, sustain, destroy, and then you can create the new thing. And in our society, I don't think we celebrate destruction, the destruction phase. This COVID process, I think, has really shed a huge light on that. But
do you think this has been the COVID phase is destruction?
For me, it allowed me to destroy, because those things just stopped. So it wasn't the normal rhythm. So I was already heading towards a wind down, but it probably would have taken me 3 or 4 years without COVID. So as horrible as COVID has been on so many levels, it was such a gift in that sense. Like, I got to slow down and say, you know what, like, and I had already scheduled the closure of my store for the day before the city went into lockdown. So that was already pre-organized.
Wow.
Kind of like, do I just let it, but it just allowed me this like really gentle, because it was painful. I mean, there's a grief, like Abi Ferrin, the brand, Abi Ferrin, the person, had to separate from Abi Ferrin, the brand that was like my identity for 17 years.
I was going to think about that too, because it is, even when I see your name listed place, I'm like, it's Abi, but Abi became this thing, yeah. Right. So how did you even keep it separate, or were there times where the two things were just one, or all over the place?
Yeah, I don't think I did keep it separate. I think towards the end, that's where it got mucky, is that I didn't have an identity outside of it. And then I met Susie, and she started just opening my mind back. Like, what I say about Susie is that she helps you take. So there's basically this dream of who I want to be and how I want to live my life. And I would like have it sitting up on the shelf, and I would take it down and wear it and like, oh, this is fun. Okay, but I have to go back to my life, my obligations, my responsibilities. And I would put it back on the shelf. So Susie taught me how to integrate my essence into my existence. So now almost every day, I mean, there's days that I'm like, wait, what happened? I derailed. But it used to be like the blue moon that I would wear my essence. And now I'm like integrated into that.
You didn't think that dream, you didn't think that could be one. You thought this life, this woman, this amazing love and ideas was just always going to be something you aspired to, or something separate.
Yeah. And that, and like, you know, the community building and the collaborations, and that those were just like perks you got to, that wasn't how I could live my life, because I had to, like, you know, run $20,000 of payroll every 2 weeks and selling, you know, at one point I wasn't just running that all out of my retail store. Plus that doesn't even go into your other bills. And yeah, it's a lot. It can be a lot.
So do you think that sometimes, just like kind of a universe fate thing, like, what do you think what would be happening right now if you and Susie's worlds had never collided or met one another in that way? Do you think you'd still be on that grind, that hustle?
I really don't know, but I know I was supposed to meet Susie when I did. I was in Mexico on an ayahuasca retreat, and an email came through inviting me to a thing at her house. And I don't even check my emails usually in those. And it was just this weird, I had a banking issue and I had to jump into my email, and I saw her email. So I don't know about what wouldn't have happened.
Yes.
So it was meant to be.
Yes.
So now with, she took me through a test program of her, it's her thesis of how she started Poopery and launched it, and is now Forbes' wealthiest self-made woman list 2 years in a row. And, but was bankrupt 13 years ago. So it's just such a transformational story. And she didn't write a business plan. She followed energy. And so what she teaches in that course is how to become alive and follow your energy and follow your alive ideas and, you know, just step into that. So she did that test course. And then, when I was like, Susie, we have to launch this into the world, and I want to be the doula. I want to help you birth this. And so
Now, when was that? When you kind of were doing like the test, you were going through the test thesis. Was that 2019?
Summer before, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So, well, 2019, summer of 2019, she did the test course. In the spring, in January, we were talking about launching Alive virtually. COVID hit in March. We launched in May. So we're now on our 5th round of students. We've had, I think, at least 1,800 people go through the course. And a lot of people come back because it's so transformational. And now we're finding this whole amazing global ecosystem and community. I'd love to talk to you more about what you're doing and see how we can collaborate, because
totally. Yes, totally. So for someone, if I'm a 3rd grader, can you break Alive OS down for me, like in basic terms?
Yeah, it's actually very simple. It's simple, basic concepts of following the feelings inside of you, following your inner knowing, taking inventory of your clutter, clearing that stuff, finding what's resonant in your life and focusing on that. And then the things that are dissonant, like things that just don't light you up, starting to minimize. And it's basically a week by week. We have a mentor circle. So you get broken off into a small mentor group, and you do that every Tuesday. And then Susie teaches on the discovery every Thursday. And it's just a week by week, an 8-week process of taking inventory, being a curious observer. She talks a lot about looking at yourself from a 3rd person. So just kind of like taking inventory. Who am I? What do I want? Like, how did I get here? This isn't the life I dreamed of. And, I'm here, but I wanted to be here. How do I line these two up?
Yeah, what's so interesting, and of course I do a lot of work with women, so that's my perspective, but we of course have men and women tuning in, and I think we're just at an interesting time, because a lot of us had that time to pause and stop and think. It gave us a lot of revelations of either I'm really happy and I'm on the right path, or I'm not happy but not sure how to even move forward. Can you share maybe how could I get involved with Alive OS, or like what's the next phase? And then of course I want to know about these fabulous capes behind you, because I feel like there's definitely a connection between Susie, Mexico, your thesis statement, and then this. There's a whole big pot stew of stuff happening, I feel.
There is. So just go to Susie Batiz, SUZYBATIZ.com, and you'll see she talks about her Alive course. So you just click on the Alive, sign up for my Alive course. Right now it's a wait list. So just sign up for the wait list and you'll get emails letting you know when to sign up for the next round. And as for the capes, did I answer that question? Can we move to the capes?
Yes.
So Peru has been such a transformational piece of my life as well, which Susie and I also have in common, because 13 years ago she went down to Peru.
What?
Yeah, where we were meant to meet.
Wow.
I was like, when I walked into her house, we just knew. I was like, okay, I don't know where you came from, but we were definitely meant to know each other. So she spent a lot of time in Peru working with plant medicine to help with complex trauma, as did I. And when I was there, I met my baby's father, who's a Quechuan native in Peru. And I fell in love with the Quechuan people. They really work in community together. They have 13 nations, and they all have different roles, and they just are so collaborative and supportive of each other. One group grows the alpaca, farms the alpaca. The other group weaves the fur and whatever. It's all just so harmonious. So one people are in charge of planting the crops and harvesting, and then they make sure that all 13 nations are fed. It's just like this really beautiful community. So Isis Anshali, my business partner in Peru, reached out to me, and it was just
I'll share these pictures real quick too, Abby, because I feel like these pictures are epic too. Stunning photos.
Yeah, and that's Isis.
Beautiful.
So, I'm wearing one of the capes too. They're just so fabulous. So each of these are hand woven. It takes 3 weeks to make them. We work the people of Ausangate, which is at the top of the Andes. It's a very sacred area of Peru, and these capes all have prayers and blessings woven in. So we don't direct them on how this goes. We just order the colors, like cream, brown, white base, and then they just choose. So you'll see each one, there's not two that are the same. all of the trims are different, and they have different symbols that are woven in, which is how they've kept their culture and their stories alive for thousands of years.
So I'm gonna get off the screens. I would love to see these up close. I'm already so obsessed with these. Like I have so many questions. We're gonna have to do like a part 2 or a sleepover summer party or something, Abby, because I started reading and researching these, and I was just like, what? And then you were like, I want to become the modern medicine woman. I was like, huh? What, Abby? I just it's so amazing. Like it's so fabulous. So I'm gonna move the screen because I'd like you to get us up close to these.
Oh, okay. So how do you want me to do it? You want me to like put this?
Yeah, like just show. Yeah, just tell us a little bit more about them, and just so we can see them up close. They just are so stunning.
Let's see here. And then there's just so many colors. These brown ones were our fall winter collection, so they're 25% off. And let's see. I don't know if I'm doing this right, but yes, they're beautiful. They run $1,111. So 1111. And we sell them. So you can contact me. We have our website, which you can buy them on the website. Or if you wanted to come try them on, you could set up an appointment with me here in my studio. The alpaca is no kill. So if you're worried about fur, some people are. It's beautiful fur, but it's they actually have no benefit in killing the alpaca because they get much more out of them from their fur, and they shave them like sheep. So when they die is when they use the furry part. And then we also have ponchos.
Oh, so cute. What is your hope? So in your kind of in your bio, it said about, the ultimate goal with this too. Like, what is your hope? And now that you've taken the lessons too with Abi Ferrin, right? Like you've built that, it became this monster thing. I mean, you had a lot of fabulous stuff, but also it felt like it was such a machine. And taking all of the Alive OS teachings, like what kind of company is this going to be, or what are you hoping it turns into?
What I've really realized is that I love collaboration. So this place here, my studio, is called the Nest. I want this to be a place for people to come in and create. I love to give people direction and support and creative ideas with their businesses. I love helping women start their businesses, and I'm really good at that because I've done it. I've pretty much made every startup mistake you can make, including throwing the Beyonce level party that I should have never paid. I'm so glad we were spared that.
Oh,
Beyonce, but like, girl, New York Fashion twice. I had no business.
No,
but I did it.
I know, right? I was literally spending so much money on themed cocktails. Like, what was I thinking? So ridiculous. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. So that's exciting that you're passionate about mentorship. So definitely would love to connect with you again on that. What advice, if you thought about, let's see, we've got, this time runs by so fast. We've got a couple minutes. What advice or maybe 2 things would you share to someone tuning in right now who may listen to later, who is at that place where like, I need to get off this ride. It's been fun, but it's been a hot mess, but I'm ready to get off. But if I get off, what happens next? Like, I think that's a lot of the thing why you keep going is because you don't know where you go next. You're so used to being on that machine.
Yeah, I think it's tuning into, are you operating in fear or love? So the vibration, checking into your vibration. Because I know when I really would have tuned in, I was afraid because I couldn't see it. And you kind of get into the daily pattern. I wasn't afraid when I started this and I couldn't see it. So really, the bountiful harvest that has showed up for me when I did the scary thing and shut down the existing version of my brand, so many more things have harvested from my knowledge that I have and from this space that I created to now launch new things and operate in a new way.
So fear or love, like those are your navigation points. Like if you're thinking about where you are right now, like is it fear or is it love that's moving forward?
Also acceptance. When you're kind of in this unknown place, if you can move out of like fear, shame, grief, all those like lower vibration feelings, and you can move into a state of acceptance. Even like if you can't quite get to love and joy, but you can like accept, you can start seeing those opportunities arising. And I think, there's so many, it's like also that fear of failure. I think for me, it was like, what are people going to think was a huge part of my decision making. And finally got to the point that I frankly don't care, because it's my life. And I think people will forget because everyone's really worried about their own life. And they might for a second go, oh, well, she failed, but then watch me rise back up. And I think I was really surprised at how much love and support I got from people, and like, you know what, can't wait to see what you do next. And that's where it gives you a lot of freedom, and that's fun. So
I think that not worrying about what other people think, that's probably a whole other conversation, because we make so many decisions and we don't do a lot of the things we want to do because we're so worried. I have this thing, Oprah told this story once, which is my favorite, where she said she was mad at this woman for 20 years. Like she's like, I heard her name, I cursed her in my mind. And she said she held on to all this hate and this anger about this woman for 20 years. And I think she was in Vail or something, walking down the street, and she saw the woman across the street and was like, but the woman was living her best life, looking fab. She was laughing, window shopping. And Oprah said at the time, she's like, she hadn't worried about me in this whole 20 years. Like I have been fixated and obsessed with something that didn't really actually exist. And I think it's the same thing. Well, if I post this business and this business fails, are people going to think I'm a failure? Or if I take this job opportunity and it sucks, are people going to laugh at me? And it's like, we're not really worried. People, like you said, have so many other things they're worried about. And for those that are that worried about it, they probably got other issues too. I'm just going to say, right?
Worried about that.
Exactly.
Send them love.
Exactly. Send love. So what's next? What's next for you in Moon Rising, in Alive OS? How can we support? How can we show you love? And then we always end every week with, who is your Texas spirit woman? And it could be someone who is currently right now and you're a peer, or it could be someone from history. It could be Beyonce, whoever you like. So those are my last 3 questions for you. What's next for everything? How can we support and show you love? And then who's your spirit woman?
Well, okay, so what's next for me is creation. So I'm going to continue working with Susie and seeing how we can co-create and collaborate. I am still, Love and Freedom, my nonprofit, is still alive, and we're working on the next iteration of that, which is going to be really exciting. We have this beautiful creation space that we are offering to creators. We have 3 event openings a week where people can come and do sound baths, host yoga flows, COVID friendly. Obviously we have to keep the numbers within a certain reason, but so to get in my circle on that, it's the Love and Freedom Circle on Facebook. And do you have like a link or somewhere you can post this stuff I can send to you?
Definitely. Yep.
Great. So the Love and Freedom Circle is we do full moon ceremonies, new moon ceremonies, and we do those on Zoom. A lot of just community-based stuff. I can connect you to Alive. A lot of Alive members, there's a big cross promotion there. We're always working together. And then with Moon Rising, I'm just supporting ISIS and the people that made these capes did not have any other form of income because tourism closed down and that was their main income. So this kept all these communities alive and flourishing during the pandemic, and their work is beautiful. So I'm just going to keep cultivating and nourishing that and supporting ISIS. And Elle and I, my co-creator here in Dallas, who's also an amazing artist. I don't know if you know Elle, but Elle and I are supporting ISIS with this vision. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of opportunities. I'm open and at the very beginning of just kind of unthawing after being, finishing this destruction phase and coming out. So I'm open and looking forward to seeing now. My spirit animal is a woman named Denise Simon.
Okay.
She is a Texas woman. She has been my biggest supporter for my business and me since I met her at Palm Night. And she's just the sweetest lady. She shows up for every event I ever do. She came and used to help volunteer and work at my store. She's just such a, and she's probably going to be totally mortified that I called her out on this, but when you meet her, you're like, I want to be her when I grow up. She has 5 children and I think like 17 grandchildren now. And she has a tattoo that she got when her 5th child left the home. It's a big heart with 5 drops of blood and like barbed wire around her heart. And she was like, got a tattoo so they wouldn't. She's just an amazing human. So
Denise Simon. Okay, Cindy, you love to say Denise.
And she has her Instagram is Truly Vintage. She's an amazing creator.
Oh, I'll tell her for sure. Truly Vintage.
Truly Vintage, and she you never know what she's creating next. Jackets, jewelry. I mean, she just like creates from her home, and we used to sell her stuff at my store. And she's just a great creative genius and fun person.
Okay, well, Denise, you sound fabulous. We're probably all going to go now stalk you at Truly Vintage on Instagram. So you sound very cool. Abi, thank you so much for joining us on Built in Texas today. I feel like I can feel your light and love through this computer. I feel like I think I've met you previously before and you still had a lot of light, but it was definitely different. I don't know if I even have the words to describe it, but it was definitely different.
It was definitely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It was definitely
there's a lot longer than we have in this show to talk about that. But yes, my light has been undimmed. And I can't wait to catch up with you. Let's go to lunch.
That would be great. And I love the fact that you're passionate about helping other women. So we definitely would love to, as we get launched, to connect with you, because that's our goal, is to definitely help female founders move forward, but holistically, because I feel like, to your point exactly, once you get the money and you get everything else, it's like, if you're not there, you can't even really enjoy it. So a holistic approach to female founders, I think, is something that we all need, not just in Texas, but across the country too. So thank you so much for tuning in.
It's fusing the patriarchal and matriarchal. Like, it's like fusing.
Yes.
Like we take the way the business models were created by men and apply it to ourselves. We need to find a new thing that's more harmonious. And so
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly it. I think we've been trying to fit in these structures, and it's like, this is why it's not working. Like, we're moving forward, but something's off. And I think you're exactly right. It's not supposed to fit, actually. It's supposed to be. We're supposed to create our own thing. So thank you so much. And thanks to everyone no problem. Thanks everyone for joining us. This video will be saved this afternoon if you'd like to tune in. But join us next week. I will be sharing the details of our launch, which I'm so excited about. So have a fantastic week, and see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.